guys, welcome to MovieFile, and this is Bill Murray Fortnight. And today, as part of Bill Murray Fortnight, I'll be reviewing the movie Ghostbusters. The reason why I specifically chose this movie was because it was an all-around comedy that kind of linked like three members of an elite group of individuals. In the 80s and 90s, you had Harold Ramis, you had Bill Murray, you had Dan Aykroyd. These individuals were either working together in regards to direction, in regards to script, and also in regards to acting together as an ensemble cast. You didn't just see these members work together in the movie Stripes, they also banded together for this movie, which was written by Ramis and by Aykroyd, and is directed by Ivan Reitman. Ivan worked with these individuals before and also after this project, but he's quite recently been famous for directing the movie My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which wasn't bad, but you know, it's no Ghostbusters, of course. Now, the movie Ghostbusters was made in 1984 and was followed by a sequel, Ghostbusters 2, in 1989, which is going to be reviewed tomorrow, so we're going to concentrate on this one. Now let's get to story. Following a first encounter with a ghost in the library, psychologists Peter Venkman, played by Bill Murray, Raymond Stantz, played by Dan Aykroyd, and Egon Spengler, played by Harold Ramis, they go to check out a ghost sighting in the library itself, and then decide that they're going to put together their own equipment and start ghost hunting with a grant from the college at Columbia University. Then, being rejected for their grant, they decide to open up a business where they become paranormal exterminators called Ghostbusters. It's so funny when they make that cheesy commercial when you even have the scene where Aykroyd comes out of the bank and Murray's going to him, "It's okay, everyone puts a third mortgage on their house."
It's a major disgrace. Forget MIT or Stanford now. They wouldn't touch us with a 10-meter cattle prod.
Just to finance this venture, it's so funny, and I love the fact that Murray just uses a huge load of improv in this movie with his quick one-liners and his constant focus on Venkman's comedy, because he's a very sarcastic, very egotistical character, as we'll see when this film develops. With no customers and dwindling funds, these guys are hired by Cedric, the hotel manager, to investigate a series of paranormal experiences going on in the hotel. They then start wrecking the place, which is also part of the main premise of this game. They go back to the hotel a couple of years afterwards and just do the same thing. They go after the ghost, which turns out that the ghost they're trying to catch is Slimer. They then manage to contain the ghost and become instant celebrities. Paranormal activity increases and the Ghostbusters seem to get a huge line of work out of this. The group then hire a fourth member, Winston Zedmore, played by Ernie Hudson. And I love the fact when he's being interviewed, the receptionist is asking him, "So have you ever had an experience in this before?" And he's like, "As long as there's a paycheck, I'm willing." The Ghostbusters are then retained by Dana Barrett, played by Sigourney Weaver, to investigate a series of experiences that are going on in her apartment. There's a lovely scene between her and Murray as he tries to get her to go out with him on a date and talks about her apartment and it's like, "Oh, it's a big place," and he just seems really smarmy in it when she just tells him to leave. Now, what sort of led to this as well was the fact that she went into her apartment, eggs started frying all over the place, she opened the fridge and there's a big freaking monster in it, and she just got freaked the fuck out. Murray finds out that the anomaly responsible for this is Zul, a demigod that's worshipped as a servant to Gozer the Gozerian, a Sumerian shape-shifting god of destruction. Dana's not the only one who's affected by this as well. You see a character played by Rick Moranis, Louis Tully, who's really tries his best to get Dana to go into his apartment, visit him, you know, to go to his party, and she just seems really put off by him. But even though he tries and tries and tries, he's then picked up by another spirit. As the Ghostbusters continue their investigation, Dana is then possessed by Zul, and this is just right before Murray wants to go out on a date with her, and it's hilarious how she keeps saying to him that she wants him inside her and stuff like that, and he's like, "I would, but you know, you're not yourself at the moment, and I tend not to date abnormalities." Lewis is then possessed by a similar demon called Vince Clortho, and then is taken by the police and picked up and put into the Ghostbusters office because no one knows how to deal with him.
"I am Vince. Vince Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer. Volka Sildro, our Lord of the Sabulia. Are you the gatekeeper?
Hey, he pulls the wagon. I make the deals. You want to ride?
Wait for the sign, and all prisoners will be released. You will perish in flames! You are not the gatekeeper!
It's so funny when he tells the horse that he's just going to destroy everyone and that the horse will be free when the apocalypse comes. As Egon and Ray attempt to experiment on Vince and try and figure out what the hell is happened, Walter Peck, a lawyer who's representing the EPA, he's another funny little gem in this. He's literally the villain of this piece. In terms of the guy that's always at odds with the Ghostbusters, and it's a sort of a reoccurring theme as you see the game and also the second movie. They are then arrested for operating an unlicensed nuclear device, and he then releases all the ghosts by switching the device off. Freed from the Ghostbusters' custody, Vince and Zuul meet up and then begin to basically put their plans in action of unleashing Gozer onto the world. Consulting blueprints to the apartment, the Ghostbusters then realise that the place was built by a mad doctor and cold lead called Ivan Shandor. He did so claiming that humanity was too sick to survive from World War I. The building was made as a construct to summon Gozer and basically initiate the end of the world. There's a fun scene here where the Ghostbusters are brought into the mayor's office and literally asked about what the hell is happening. They explain themselves and talk about the fact that Dick basically unleashed all these ghosts onto the city, and then Dick basically replies,
"These men are consummate snowball artists. They use sense and nerve gases to induce hallucinations. People think they're seeing ghosts, and they call these bozos who conveniently show up to deal with the problem with a fake electronic light show.
Everything was fine with our system until the power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
They caused an explosion."
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
funniest line in the film. It always makes me laugh to feel that Murray just stays in comedy mode even when things get serious. The Ghostbusters are then treated like kings as they head to the building to go and deal with Gozer. As they get there, Gozer then arrives and is in the appearance of a woman, and this is explained by the fact that Gozer can be whoever you want him to be. It doesn't have to be male, it could be female, it could have been a horse.
Good evening. As a duly designated representative of the city, county, and state of New York, I order you to cease any and all supernatural activity and return forthwith to your place of origin or to the nearest convenient parallel dimension. That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
Are you a god?
No.
Then...
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
They try to subdue Gozer, but then Gozer disappears. And then there's a huge sort of voiceover ringing from the top of the building. The voice echoes that the destructor will follow, and it can be anything that anybody thinks of. And they're like, just think positive thoughts, positive thoughts. And then Aykroyd's character, Ray, decides to think of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The team then combine the streams in the proton pack, and as you know, you're not supposed to cross the streams, and destroy Stay Puft. After crossing the streams and destroying the portal, Gozer is then disappears, and Stay Puft is just destroyed and on fire. And apparently tasting. Soon after, everyone's going up in arms about the fact that Dana and Louise are, they're both dead. Then realizing that there's someone inside the cocoons of these monsters, they decide to break into it and pull these guys. And then at the end, the Ghostbusters have applauded, and the film ends. Bill Murray as Venkman is on par with any character. He totally steals the show with this film because of the fact that he's so witty, he's so charming, and he is just this sort of drape hustler. He's like a used car salesman, but always manages to get his quims in and his one-liners in as soon as there's like something that goes down. But it's so funny. Dan Aykroyd as Raymond Ray Stoltz he's another one who you can always sort of laugh with, just due to the fact that his character just seems so socially inept, so to speak, but he's extremely intelligent, so he finds everything extremely fascinating, and always very childlike as well at the same time. It's like when he just thinks back and thinks back to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and then creates this huge anomaly, like, well, it wasn't my fault, I just needed to think about this, and, you know, I couldn't clear my head. Sigourney Weaver as Dana Barrett is a very bland love interest. She does the job, you know, damsel in distress sort of thing, but she doesn't have enough screen time to sort of establish the character. And truthfully, the character doesn't really need to be established because it's only just a small core component of this film, whereas the main focus is the Ghostbusters themselves. Harold Ramis is so intelligent with his dialogue and so funny as well, and so quirky in the terms of his character Egon Spengler. He's one of those characters that he seems very James Bondish, very charming, but also his mistress is science. He always needs to figure everything out, and everything has a purpose inside of his mind, where the cogs keep working. And he's one of the members of the group that seems so intelligent compared to everybody else. You know, he's on like that next level, and he plays this character so well. And when you look at this character, it's the same thing with Ray. When you look at Ray, when you look at Venkman, and when you look at Egon, they can only be played by these three individuals because they're so good at them. They understand who these characters are. They have such a respect and an immersiveness that they can literally just get in characters so quickly. Lee Huston as Winston Zedmore. His character is starting to be established in this film, so you don't see much of him, but when you do see him, he's very immersive in his scenes, like the conversation he has with Ray about God, and also about the Bible, as they're basically quoting scripture. And the one little scene which I felt stole the entire scene, when he just goes to the mayor and he's like,
Look, I've only been with the company for a couple of weeks, but I gotta tell you, these things are real. Since I joined these men, I have seen shit that'll turn you white.
And then walks away. And with that, it made me laugh. And these guys complement each other really well, each one of them. You know, thinking of the fact that Murray, Ramis, and Aykroyd have all worked together previously, so you can tell the energy with these guys and how they've worked together to set this story out. And adding Hudson to the mix, he really sets his own pace for the team, and he builds up his character as it progresses onto the next movie. So he's a really interesting character, and he worked really well in this film. Now let's go to the rating. As you know, I have a rating of 1 to 5 for every film that I review, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. And I give this movie a 5. This movie is highly recommended for anybody that wants to watch the Ghostbusters franchise. It's one of the best movies in terms of this franchise, and also is a fun-filled film for all the family. There's an unedited version which has all the swearing and stuff like that in there as well, so you can watch it, you know, with the adults. But there's also an edited version where it's kind of been dumbed down a little bit, so all the kids can watch it and enjoy themselves. And it's a great film. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and it's got these guys who are very unlikely action heroes in it as well, which makes it all the more better. So that's it from me today. Tomorrow I will be reviewing the movie Ghostbusters 2, so I'll be continuing on with my Bill Murray reviews and my Ghostbusters reviews, and I'll be playing the game Ghostbusters, which is the unofficial Ghostbusters 3, on my Twitch TV channel. So I'll see you guys over there if you want to migrate over there. So I'll see you